In episode number 204, we cover the latest form of Raichu, new Alola form of Raichu. Can they improve on the evolution to Kelli's favorite Pokemon?
We also have some updated news on a new DC movie, Man of Steel 2.
A little comic book that released to capitalize on a little movie last week, Suicide Squad Rebirth #1. We've got our review for that issue.
And even better than Suicide Squad Rebirth, we have our review, spoiler-filled, of Suicide Squad. Have we seen it more than once already? Why, yes, we have.
All of this and more on today's show. Hello and welcome to the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke, ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Kelly.
The way the format of the show works is first we cover some news ranging from comics all the way to television and more, and we follow up with a comic book highlight or two of the
book.
And this week, we do have one comic book review for the week. But the biggest news, most of this podcast today will be DC Cinematic Universe filled.
But before we begin all of that, as many longtime Brokettes know, I have done a lot of running races. Earlier this year, I ran a marathon. I've run another half marathon this year. I ran like 2 halves last year. There's been some 5Ks in there.
For people like me who don't run, what is a marathon? Put that in miles, all right?
A marathon is 26.2 miles.
Insanity.
No, just 26.2. Just 26.2. Half marathons are, of course, 13.1 miles. 5Ks are 3.1 miles. 10Ks are 6.2. And then there's like 15Ks and etc. I don't know. I don't run those. So, for years, I have asked Daniel to go running with me. And by years, I mean a year. And finally, he agreed.
I started running, and I'll tell you what convinced me to run and start to exercise for the first time in probably 5 years. Like, I'm already on my feet all day working in retail. So that's why I'm not ginormous. But I don't actually get my heart rate up to running speed. Like sometimes when the phone rings in the store and I'm on the other side of the store, I'm like, oh shit. Because we have to answer it before the third ring. Otherwise the voicemail gets it. And that's not a good thing. So that's when I'll do my running, like a little jog over there.
Do you answer the phone like...
Daniel, what do you want? No, I'm usually okay, but customers do look over like, why is that guy running? His hair is flowing. And
they're just mesmerized.
What convinced me is, one is you. Like, we got the running shoes, which I'm like, we have to use them because I hadn't used them in months.
Would you like to let people know when we got these running shoes?
Half a year ago, was it?
No, we got it the same day we got the dog.
Okay, so a year ago.
A year ago, we brought running shoes.
I knew I was going to eventually use them. It wasn't a problem of they're never going to be used. But then, so the shoes being used was one thing. The me not running in years was the other thing. And then the third thing was actually, I want to cosplay as a decent Aquaman at a convention in the future. Like if I'm going to do Aquaman, I want to do him right. I could do the kind that Kelly doesn't like, or a parody Aquaman of me, the one that picture I put up, chubby Aquaman with the fork. I could do that one, which I know people would like just the same. But I want to try my best to do real Aquaman from the movies. I'm actually getting in shape for that Aquaman movie in 2 years, so don't let anyone know.
Yep.
So, no, I want to make that the real thing, and I want to give that a shot. So I've been putting up those pictures, #Road to Aquaman. And hopefully in a year, I will reach something close to, with the closest my body could ever get to what is going to be on the big screen.
And your wife is over here like, you want to look like Jason Momoa? Go. Get out there. Run. Why are you still here?
See, I've got the head is already, like, my neck up is, like, good to go. It's just the neck down that needs a little bit of work. I still need tattoos.
No, yes. Now, granted, you are not overweight by any means, Daniel.
According to We Fit You, I am 3 to 4 pounds overweight.
No, We Fit You doesn't know what they're talking about.
According to my doctor, for my physical, I'm fine.
Yeah, you're fine. According to according to the world, I am overweight.
Well, see, women are different. They have to be under 100 pounds to be at weight.
This is accurate. I am definitely not there. Muscle weighs more than fat. That's what I tell myself.
That's all you got to keep telling yourself. Mm-hmm. But in the span of 2 weeks, we've ran 4 different times.
We've run probably close to 5 miles total over those weeks.
Which, for a marathon runner like you, is nothing. But to a man who's 28, who hasn't ran the mile in probably 8 years, I would say. Yeah, it's tough for me. Like, my body is saying, you're too old for this shit, man.
Okay.
You're not 20 anymore.
Granted, if I let you set the pace, how fast of a mile do you try to run?
I try to run the fastest mile possible.
Yeah, you try to pace at like a 9-minute mile. Do you know how crazy that is?
At my age, it is crazy, but I have to push myself.
Okay, or you could not get hurt and go at a nice steady pace and maybe run a few more miles.
No, I just want to push myself to a faster mile every time, because if I'm not pushing myself, I'm not improving myself.
Your wife got shin splints last time she ran your 9-minute mile, okay? And it hurt.
Again, women are different.
Ugh. Well, I'm proud of you. Getting in shape is good.
Yeah.
Being active is good.
And like I mentioned, I'll probably lose 10 pounds in a week or 2.
And I'm going to be so jealous because I'm going to find those 10 pounds. Be like, well, there they are.
That's something you've always pointed out, is when I exercise, it just slims down immediately. Yep. But with you have to work twice as hard.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's just the thing with women. Women's physiques are meant to hold fat because childbearing and, all that kind of stuff. That's why we're all curvy and men are just like stick boards things. But it is, and I watched my mom struggle, her whole life. She gets so pissed at my dad because my dad will stop drinking soda and lose 15 pounds. Mm-hmm. And my mom will only drink juice and exercise like a crazy person and gain 4 pounds.
Well, juice has a lot of sugar in it.
Right. Well, I'm just using an example. Like, okay. She'll go on crazy diets and just gain weight, and it's life. It's just something you got to work through. And unfortunately, women have much higher standards for themselves than men do.
So you're saying that theoretically in 6 months, I should be good to go if I continue this pace?
I mean, probably. You would have to run, but then you would have to work the other muscles as well. So eventually you're going to have to start doing ab workouts and arms. My
thing now is to try to build endurance. Mm-hmm. Like, I know I can slim down, and then I can start building the muscle. Like, I'm doing the same thing I used to do in high school when I was actually muscly. But back then it was much easier because you'd do gym class. And my friend, you'd always have a partner in gym class. Like, someone else would spot for you. And then you'd do your mile, and you'd do your runs, and you'd do your cardio. But he would never want to do any of that stuff. So, and we always had to be working. So I'd just be doing double time the whole period so that the teacher wouldn't come around and say, hey, you guys are just sitting down and chatting. Right. Because that was his job, to be like, hey, get to work, do something, lift a weight. So I'd always be doing the workout, and he'd always just be talking video games or whatever. That's how I got in shape in high school. And I maintained it probably in my second year in college. Mm-hmm. And then from there, it was just like, whoop,
life.
Gone.
Life happened.
I started working at IHOP and Steak and Shake and all these places.
That's my problem right now is I've finally reached the point in my career where I get free lunch. Mm-hmm. Whatever I want is free. So I made friends with the ice cream people next door. I got French fries I can eat all the time. Fried food everywhere. We got mashed potatoes and you throw some cheddar cheese in that bitch and mix it up. Maybe some ranch dressing too. Fuck, it's great.
That's super Southern.
That's so Southern. And it's so fattening. So now I'm starting to have to bring my lunch to work so that I won't eat all this fatty stuff. And then somebody shows up and says, hey, I brought Dunkin' Donuts today. And I'm like, well, shit.
At work, actually, someone brought in cookies that for all the staff members to eat. I had one. I just had the one because I was like, I do not want to undo my work from yesterday. I'm proud of your commitment, but I am a stress eater. I find my comfort from eating food with lots of butter on it. It is a struggle. So we'll see if we get there. Mm-hmm. Road to Aquaman, Road to Mara. You want to do? I could do Mara. I was thinking you have the red hair. If you're gonna do Jason Momoa Aquaman, I think it would be hilarious if I did Khaleesi from Game of Thrones. That would be awesome. It'd be so funny. It'd be perfect. Because then you'd have all the people at the cons like, ha! Like, they'd feel clever for figuring it out.
Yep. So, I mean, I'd either go with her. Yes, I do have the red hair. I've always wanted to cosplay as Mara. So that would be another option, too. But then I'd have to find a Mara costume. I'd have to create one that fit in with the Aquaman from Justice League.
Right. From the movies.
Yes.
And maybe we'll get a look at Mara very, very soon.
Hopefully.
His movie's about 2 years away. But on to the news for today's show.
We do have the latest Pokemon Sun and Moon Alola form. So we've been talking earlier, Alola forms. We have like the new Vulpix, who's actually an ice type. Sandshrew, who's also ice type. This is a brand new type from an older Pokemon that we've seen.
Alola form Raichu.
Woo!
Got an all-new design, all-new powers, all-new typing. Raichu has always been the Pokemon that I feel like got kind of a bad rap because Pikachu is the most popular Pokemon in the whole franchise. The evolution of it, no one wants. Except for me. I evolved Pokemon Yellow Pikachu.
Because if you evolved your Pokemon Yellow Pikachu?
I did. You know why? I'll tell you why. Because I taught him Surf first, and then I evolved it into Raichu, so he would no longer follow you. But then I said, what would happen if I put him in Pokemon Stadium and use Surf? They thought of that already, and he also gets on the surfboard, and you have a surfing Raichu in Pokemon Stadium.
I need you to get out of my house right now. I don't know who you are anymore. I feel betrayed. This is the worst thing you ever could have done to me.
I didn't do it to you.
But I feel it. You can't evolve Pikachu because then he's not Pikachu anymore.
I did it. Traded it over to Red and Blue, evolved it, traded it back. Surfing Raichu.
Out of my house. I'm done.
Surfing Raichu is back, though.
This, guys, has been the Reasons I'm Broke episode because I can't. I can't. I can't. I feel like this was like a personal betrayal to me. Because you took my favorite. You should have thought into the future. Like, one day, I'm going to marry a woman that loves this Pikachu so much. I should treat it with respect.
Well, I'll tell you what. Next time I play Yellow, I won't evolve
You're never going to play Yellow again.
I know, but I'm just letting you know. If I ever do,
Nope.
I'm not evolving
You need to apologize for evolving it back then.
I'm sorry, but I'm glad I know that it still did the animation in Stadium.
Ugh.
It's an experiment. It was for science, Kelly.
So you used my favorite Pokemon for your sick experiments.
For my Poke-Science, yes.
No. I won't accept that. I won't. I can't.
That's what it is. It is what it is.
We need to move on because I can't. No.
So the new form of Raichu has an all-new design, all-new coloring. You actually like it.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. It floats on its tail, which is awesome, and it's very rounded, but still maintains the feel of Raichu.
It surfs on the tail. So it's still like a surfing Raichu.
What are you talking about? I thought we just said we were going to move on and not talk about this anymore.
This Alola form, just like the other Alola forms, gains a new typing, and this one is an electric psychic, which explains the riding on the tail.
Floating.
Floating on the tail.
Thank you. Floating. Not surfing.
No.
Surfing Raichu has never existed, and
it's
surfing
just using
Raichu
it like a surfboard.
Surfing Raichu has never existed in the history of man. Okay? Never.
You being the ultimate Pikachu fan.
Yes, ultimate.
Do you like the original Raichu form more, or do you like the Alola form more?
I like the Alola form of Raichu. He's pretty cool. But I'm never going to have a Raichu because I will never evolve my Pikachu, so...
Not even an Alola form?
Nope. Maybe. But that's only if I have two Pikachus. Then maybe.
So because of the new forms in Pokemon Sun and Moon, the one comment I've been seeing everywhere, on Twitter, on the YouTube comments, on Userama, on Cerebi, they are saying they're running out of ideas. Are they, Kelly? Are they running out of ideas by taking old existing Pokemon, changing the colors, and making them into new types?
Let me ask you this, Dan. If they released all new Pokemon, how many of those people would be saying, these aren't as good as the old ones?
100% of those same people.
100% of those same people. I don't think they're running out of ideas. I think they finally came up with something that works for the people like me who miss that nostalgia, because this is a new game, but oh shit, I can still have my favorite Pokemon, and whoa, there's something new now. Like, it's building off of the old games in a way that I don't think I've seen since Silver and Gold.
Right.
It's, you still get the same kind of feel from all these Pokemon, but there's something new, and you gotta learn how to play with them differently. The old strategies you used to use aren't gonna work anymore, because now it's an ice type. And it makes me excited to now go into this ice mountain and be like, oh shit, let me find this Sandshrew and this Vulpix and catch them.
One of my coworkers was one of the they're running out of ideas crowd. And he hadn't played since, I think he said, like, Black and White. So I'm like, so you've been missing out on all these generations of Pokemon already. Mm-hmm. If this bothers you, you should see what they've done in the last 3. Like, this is not bad at all. And what actually shut him down was you don't have to use Ice Vulpix. You don't have to use Psychic Raichu. The old ones are still there.
But let me tell you what, people like me, those are the Pokemon that I'm going to use. I don't want all this new crap except for Batman. And I don't know, there's something else I kind of liked. What did I kind of like?
As far as the new Pokemon?
Yeah.
You liked Mimikyu a lot.
Oh yeah, Mimikyu. I'll use him. But, all the rest are going to be this, old 151 that they've made brand new that they're now putting in this game. That's super exciting. Those are the Pokemon that I'm going to use and build my team around. Not this pom-pom bird.
It's also the same as the Mega Evolutions. You don't have to Mega Evolve your Pokemon. Keep it at a regular Gyarados.
Except you kind of got to if you want to beat the game.
No, you really don't.
You
can find strategies to not use Mega Pokemon.
Okay, that requires work.
Well, that's the thing. You gotta put in some work, just like in the old games.
Yeah, those old games were hard.
Enough Pokemon talk this week. It seems like every week there is something new Pokemon because it is the 20 years of Pokemon in 2016. But now moving forward, it is all DC Cinematic Universe. Huge stuff coming your way. First one coming from The Wrap, who says that Warner Brothers is now in active development for Man of Steel 2. This comes out of the success from Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm. Russell Crowe had previously revealed that several Man of Steel films were planned before Warner Brothers went into Batman v Superman.
There's no way they don't take some of those ideas that they were going to initially use for Man of Steel 2 and implement them into this new movie.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm sure they absolutely will. And this is, I think Suicide Squad is a great jumping point for DC because now people are excited again.
If Suicide Squad had flopped, do you think we'd be talking about Man of Steel 2 now?
No, absolutely not.
Do you think Warner Brothers would have called it in and said, let's just focus on the core and build from there?
Yep, absolutely.
For Man of Steel 2, what kind of villains do you think they should try to tackle in this?
Ooh, I think Brainiac would be awesome.
Yes, Brainiac.
Brainiac would be so cool. I don't know that we're going to see him. We already saw Doomsday. We already saw Zod and Lex. I think they got to go with Brainiac.
Go with Brainiac. Do Brainiac. Because we already got some hint of that in Man of Steel 1. People were saying that the tentacle monsters that he fought in Man of Steel, some of that design straight came from the comic book in a lot of Brainiac's different forms.
I feel like they mentioned Brainiac somewhere in some movie too.
I don't think they mentioned them, but there's like a
system.
Yes, there's a computer system that has the Brainiac logo on it.
I thought they called the computer system Brainiac. I could have sworn. Maybe not, but yes, the computer system, they do allude to it bringing Brainiac in Man of Steel. So that would be perfect.
That's one movie that people have called for years, ever since Batman v Superman came out. Every single time they reveal the slate of the DC movies moving forward, they're saying, where is Man of Steel 2? Where's the new Superman sequel? And we're finally getting it. No date on it, and of course, no reveals on who's directing it, who the villains are. But people are already saying, no Zack Snyder. They don't want Zack Snyder in Man of Steel 2.
Poor Zack Snyder.
He's getting crucified because of Batman v Superman.
They just didn't understand it. Have them watch the director's cut.
I guess. I mean, it's still... If you didn't like Batman v Superman, it's because you didn't want to like Batman v Superman. There's plenty in there for people who read the books. There's plenty in there for Batman fans especially. And if you didn't like the theatrical cut, I don't think the director's cut is going to cut it for you.
One movie, though, that they did reveal the villain on is Aquaman, even though it's still 2 years away.
The Wrap is also reporting that Black Manta is going to be the villain on Aquaman. Sorry, Kelli, no Ocean Master.
We don't know that yet. He could still, he just lies in the sand and waits.
Is he post-credits?
Yeah, I hope he's mid-credits. I hope he's the opening scene, he's laying there, and he goes, surprise!
Come in people's faces.
Yeah, that's what he does. So as we all know, I knew this. Did you know this?
Of course I did.
I definitely knew this. Black Manta first appeared in Aquaman number 35 back in 1967 and was created by Bob Haney and Nick Cardy.
Black Manta's abilities include enhanced strength, endurance, master tactician, high-tech battlesuit, and his helmet fires optic blasts.
Achoo! That's
Move over,
cool.
Cyclops.
We got Black Manta.
Black fucking Manta.
This movie is set to release July 27th, 2018.
If it wasn't Ocean Master Kelly, it was going to be Black Manta.
I guess it's a suitable thing, substitute, whatever.
Do you think that big-ass helmet will translate to screen? Or do you think they should do something a little bit smaller, maybe rework it to so it's maybe a hybrid of Ocean Master?
Yes! Just make them all Ocean Master. In the most recent DC movies, I have yet to see a costume that I think didn't fit for the world that they were going for. So whatever they're going to do with this helmet, they're going to make it, fine. And it's going to be back on a shelf somewhere if it's not the big-ass one.
Like a nice little Easter egg. Mm-hmm. They've already changed Aquaman drastically. Mm-hmm. So it's safe to say that probably Mera won't have that big green jumpsuit. And I don't know. I want to see that giant dome helmet on the big screen, but I don't know if that's going to work. It's hard to say. I mean, it's sort of like Harley Quinn's costume. Mm-hmm. We wanted the classic one, but would that have stuck out a little bit if they had used it in the movie? So it might be the same case with Black Manta. Or it could be now with fucking Jeff Johns on board. Maybe he's going to say, no, fuck it. Make a fucking giant dome head on it. Put like a fucking texture if you want, but have the giant dome, and maybe they'll make it work. It's going to be smaller. It has to be smaller.
It has to be smaller because it's like 3 times the size of his body.
Yeah. You can ride on that fucking thing.
Yes, they'll make it work. They're going to make it a realistic one. They're probably going to make it a gruffer one, like our Aquaman is very caveman-like.
Are they going to have a metal beard
That'd
on
be
the
awesome.
giant dome?
Please do.
Some spikes.
It'll be cool, whatever they decide. I'm sure we'll see it soon.
Suicide Squad.
That is going to be the rest of this podcast.
The whole podcast just covering Suicide Squad. In response to Suicide Squad's Rotten Tomatoes score, currently sitting at 26%.
That's bullshit.
Fans have signed a petition to shut down the review aggregator site for its bias against, quote, DC films.
I feel like there is a bias against DC films.
Even though Warner Brothers owns 30% of Rotten Tomatoes?
Apparently, because they get shit reviews.
Here's something people don't understand, is the key word there is review aggregator. It's not Rotten Tomatoes deciding 26% is what we're going to give this. They're taking all of the positive and negative reviews, compiling them into a score. Gaming has the exact same thing with Metacritic.
That's still bullshit. Why did it only get a 26%?
I honestly don't have an answer for you because there's a number of things here that are contradicting this score. I don't think it deserves 26%. I don't think Batman v Superman deserved its lower rating as well. I think it's simply the fact that, and I mention this almost every single fucking week, it's Warner Brothers and the DC films working uphill because Disney has done it first. So because they did it first, suddenly, them trying to catch up or trying to do their own version of modern superhero movies is a bad thing.
So we need to shut down the internet for their bias against DC films.
I really don't have an answer. I don't have an answer for this. The petition does currently hold over 21,000 signatures, though.
That's crazy. That's awesome. I don't think they're going to get shut down.
No, they're not, and I don't think they should. Rotten Tomatoes, it's fine. I don't have anything big against it. I more have a thing against fans and how they use it. Because when it's convenient for them, they'll point to Rotten Tomatoes and say, hey, this movie that I'm looking forward to has a 98%. But then when it's a movie that they don't like, or a movie that they do like and gets a shitty rating, suddenly fuck the critics, fuck Rotten Tomatoes, then it doesn't count. So it's more of how the fans use it than it is what Rotten Tomatoes is putting together with reviews and critics.
Well, then let's just shut down the internet, but not those dog singing videos.
We all like funny YouTube videos.
We can keep those.
Those need to stay.
But everything else. Or people narrating the Olympics from Australia.
So with Suicide Squad, Rotten Tomatoes, why do you think, you asked me, why do you think it's getting such a low score?
Why do I think? I really don't know.
You think there is a bias?
I think there is a bias out there for DC movies. I think because when I talk to a lot of people, they only watch superhero the films. They don't read the comics, which is fine. But every single one of them says, "Oh no, I like Marvel better. I like Marvel. Marvel is great. Marvel is awesome. Marvel." And I think part of that is, again, yes, Marvel broke into this market first. they made all their films very much for fans. What would people want to see? Their films don't really have a lot of backbone to them, I don't think. You don't watch any Marvel movie and have to think about it or go home and really contemplate what the deeper meaning behind any of it was. You don't have to do that. So it's very easy for people to watch.
Very accessible.
It's very accessible. And, you know, they've done a great job of getting their characters into every single home that they can. And so I think a lot of people are Marvel fanboys and fangirls, and their whole thing is, oh, well, this isn't Marvel. You know, these aren't the characters that I love, so I don't like it.
Whenever I hear a superhero movie get a low tomato score, I have to tell them, like, none of these superhero movies are good. Whether it's from Marvel or DC, there's very few that are good films, good actual movie-making pieces that you can point to and say, you know what, that was shot well, that was directed well, that was written well. A lot of these are like comic books as well. They're not going to be literary works. You're not going to see many comic books make it into classrooms. And it's the same with the movies. They're just like the comics. They're going to give you a lot of spectacle, and that's what people want. So I understand the tomato score ratings, but more movies should have lower ratings if we're going to give a Suicide Squad a low rating. Because Avengers was not a good movie. That shouldn't be a 80-70% movie. It should be in the low 50s, low 40s,
Is it
low
an
30s.
80% movie?
It's not in the negatives. It's not a rotten score.
Ugh.
Captain America, I would say, was well shot, was well filmed, has a great story, has great action. That would probably be in the positives. But there's few of those. The Nolan trilogy, absolutely. Like, a lot of those should be in the positive tomato rating. But that's why this is very bizarre to me, because if you're going to give some of these movies like the Avengers, like Avengers 2 maybe, that high of a score, then you can't. You have to give these movies like Suicide Squad.
Avengers 2 has a higher score than this?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
That's ridiculous.
A higher score than Suicide Squad, of course.
No, all
Of
these
course
people are Marvel fanboys that are just like, well, it wasn't terrible, so 100%.
They're more forgiving because, again, Disney, Marvel did it first. So they overlook a lot of these things, whereas DC is moving into the playing field, so already these people are on the defensive like, no, you have to impress me. No, you're doing something too different. You have to honor the books. You're doing something too much like the books. You have to do something different. So they're immediately going to try to push it away, and I think the same goes with the review scores. And the things that I saw the most on the reviews was people saying like, yeah, it was fun, but the editing wasn't as good. And that's when I went on this whole fucking rant on Facebook, like, if the editing was good, then it wouldn't be fun enough. If it wasn't fun enough, then it wouldn't be dark enough. If it wasn't dark enough, then it wasn't fun enough. It's like this giant card game rule set that you're trying to build with these fans or with these critics, because if it's not one thing, it's another. They're just going to continue to do this mental tap dance so that they can give something a bad review. And honestly, if we're going to talk movies and we're going to talk about how they're going to stand over time, fuck Suicide Squad, fuck the Avengers, fuck Batman v Superman. If you want to play that game, we'll do that. But if you're going to rate this on fun factor and on entertainment, then you can't give Suicide Squad a 26%.
Right.
And we will tell you later why when we have our review.
Moving forward, in a recent interview with Variety, Jared Leto revealed that there was a ton of Joker footage cut from the theatrical version. Maybe that's why I only gave it a 26%, if they left that in there.
Yeah, they should have left all that in there so that they can then complain like they are now that they didn't like that version of Joker. But give me more of it. But I didn't like his rendition of Joker. So they should have given me more. Doesn't make any fucking sense. We have a quote here from Jared, who I do disagree with, actually. He said, quote, "I think that I brought so much to the table in every scene. It was probably more about filtering all of the insanity because I wanted to give a lot of options. I think there's probably enough footage in this film for a Joker movie."
This is his first movie, right?
No, it's not his first movie.
Then he clearly doesn't understand movies. Clearly, he does not understand movies.
He went on to say that he felt Suicide Squad should have been rated R.
We have a quote here. "I felt like if a film was ever going to be rated R, it should be the one about the villains."
Would it have made as much fucking money as it did?
No, of course not.
If it was rated R.
Do you know how many kids I've seen in that theater?
How many teenagers we saw on opening night?
Exactly.
Like half the crowd.
It would not have made as much money if it was rated R. Would I disagree to release a rated R version when it comes out on Blu-ray? Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. Whatever. But for theater, PG-13. It's gotta be.
PG-13, absolutely. I agree. And I know people are saying, like, a rated R movie can be a success because we got that with Deadpool. And I said this before, Suicide Squad is not Deadpool. Mm-hmm. They need to go with PG-13. And they've had a huge amount, they've broken records because of this. I think that's a huge portion of that, is because it's PG-13. Sure, some teenagers will find a way to see it one way or another. But that's not the case with all of them. That's that much money they'd be missing out on.
Exactly. You'd have the goody-goodies like me who, when I was in high school, I was like, no, it's R. Let's not sneak in. I was that kid.
Enough Joker footage. We've seen that with the trailers. Mm-hmm. We've seen scenes in that weren't available in the final cut of the movie. And we will probably see that in the Blu-ray release of the film. But one person is not at all happy about all the cuts they've made to Suicide Squad.
He's probably the one that gave it a 26%. Asshole.
He's one of the critics.
So a UK fan is threatening Warner Brothers with a lawsuit over the, quote, false advertising of scenes from the trailer that didn't appear in the movie.
Reddit user Black Panther 2016.
Right there, Marvel fanboy, doesn't count.
Or he's a member of the Black Panthers. I don't know. He had this to say.
Quote, Suicide Squad trailers showcased several specific Joker scenes that I had to pay for the whole movie just so that I can go watch those specific scenes that WB/DC had advertised in their trailers and TV spots. These scenes are when Joker banged his head on his car window, when Joker says, "Let me show you my toys," when Joker punches through the roof of his car, and when Joker drops a bomb with his face all messed up and says, "Bye-bye." None of these scenes were in the movie.
Well, shit. Those scenes would have made the difference,
They would have
Kelli.
made the difference.
They would not. That would have boosted that score up to 80%.
But, you know, clearly he's never seen a trailer where they don't have all those scenes in the movie.
Obviously not.
Obviously, that apparently does not ever happen in his world.
To be fair, that was probably the Ayer cut, which we had talked about last week. We saw a lot of that stuff when they streamlined it with, what was it, Big Trailer Studios, Big Trailer Productions. They probably streamlined it, cut it down to a smaller take, and really gave us a lot of the action and stylized it up. I would probably give a lot of that credit to that studio, and this is why we didn't see a lot of those scenes. But yes, it is not enough to I guess sue a studio. I wouldn't call that false advertising either, because I don't know. It's weird. They're selling you these, but you're not seeing the movie because of those scenes. Even though he's claiming he is,
right? He's
not. He saw this because it's part of the DC universe, or he wants to see the characters, or it's called Suicide Squad. There's a number of reasons.
Interesting, bunch of other shit. But he goes on. It doesn't end here. So the user allegedly demanded a refund from the movie theater and was eventually kicked out.
He continued by saying, quote, "So I'm now taking this to court. I want my refund. The trauma of being embarrassed as I was being kicked out and people laughing at me for wanting my refund, and also the 160 pounds of fuel money I used to drive from London from Scotland." End quote.
This man is out his mind.
He was laughed at. Like that's what I took out of this. I'm like, now we're all laughing at him. Like,
yeah, the entire world is laughing at this man right
He's got to accumulate all this laughter and embarrassment now into his lawsuit.
And I posted this online, and now everybody's mocking me on the internet. Yes, we are. Because
Absolutely.
You are being insane. You know, if this was a Marvel movie, I bet he wouldn't be doing that.
No, of course not. Nope.
Nope, absolutely not.
But Kelli, that's because they don't false advertise, all right? They know what they're doing.
Except I'm pretty sure they do. All right, cool. And, you know, he could wait like 3 months and then get the DVD, which probably has all those deleted scenes. And then he could still watch it.
Those precious scenes that he missed so much from the TV spots that he needed to watch this movie because they were imperative to the story, Kelli.
And that is why he spent $200 driving from Scotland to London to watch this movie, just for those scenes. He probably realized how much it cost him to drive over there when he got there, and he was like, oh shit, man, I better find some way to make this money back.
I think he just saw that a lot of people were saying, a lot of these scenes weren't in the movie, and he went, well, shit, this is a way to make money, and that was it. That was probably it.
It's ridiculous. That's people, they confuse me. I don't understand about a lot of things. They complain about this, One thing that always gets to me too is when people eat their entire meal and then come back up and say, well, this really wasn't that good, so what can you do for me?
It's along those same lines, except with fucking movies.
Ridiculous. I don't think he's going to get anything except more ridicule.
A good chunk of our podcast, our show today, will be the Suicide Squad review. So we're going to move into our Patreon shout-outs of this week. We'll follow that up with Suicide Squad Rebirth number 1 and end it with the Suicide Squad review.
So this week we do have 3 Patreon shout-outs. Please follow all these guys on Twitter. They are fantastic for supporting our show and helping us to continue to put out what we do for you guys every single week. So first up we have Christopher, who is at The Irish on Fire.
Second is Bobby at Cuban Slim. I almost fucked that up. I almost screwed that up. At Cuban Slim.
And the last one is Neil, who is at InMattZ68.
Once again, please be sure to follow them. One of the reasons why we haven't gone out and gotten more ads and more sponsorships is because of the Patreon support. A lot of that helps. We don't have to go out and try to get that next sponsorship. And that's all thanks to the Patreon brokettes. So please do follow them. That's one of the reasons why you don't hear ads on the show as often anymore.
If you guys want to be a Patreon supporter, really easy. Go to patreon.com/thereasonsimebroke. For as little as $1 a month, which averages out to 25 cents an episode, you could help support the show so we can reach our next goal.
We also want to thank DecalAvenue.com for helping us out at the $5 decal tier. If you want exclusive decals, you can also get those at patreon.com/thereasonsimebroke.
However, guys, of course, our podcast will always be free. The best thing you can do is review, leave comments, talk to us on Twitter, and let your friends know about us.
Our comic book highlight this week is Suicide Squad Rebirth number 1, written by Rob Williams, art by Philip Tan, and colors by Alex Sinclair.
Perfect timing to release this book right at the same time as the movie. I can't imagine how quickly this is going to fly off the shelves.
It's doing really well at my comic shop, at the one I work at. And also, they brought out Harley Quinn number 1.
So smart.
The exact same fucking new comic book day.
So on to this book. Was it as good as the movie? Oh, hell no. It was smart to bring it out. I still don't think this is a book that I will continue to read, just because the story wasn't very engaging for me.
This one shot, and that's what these Rebirth titles are. I know a lot of customers at the shop get confused by it. Suicide Squad Rebirth, Batman Rebirth, Superman Rebirth, all of these treat them as one shots. If you listen to the podcast, you know this already, but the Rebirth titles are just one shots or issues number 0. And then from there, when you have Suicide Squad number 1, that's going to be the ongoing title. Even though it says Rebirth on the cover, and I think that's one of the mistakes now that I'm realizing that DC marketing did, is they still left Rebirth on it. So a lot of customers are like, well, I got this one already. I got Suicide Squad Rebirth number 1. But then I have to tell them, well, no, this is Suicide Squad number 1, even though it says Rebirth in smaller font at the top. Because while I see the books every day and I know the difference between the two, anyone else that only comes in maybe once a month, they're not going to know. They're going to say, no, I have that already. Let me get number 2. Then they're going to miss out on a bit of the story. But in this case, this is number 0. Think of it that way, brokettes. And then number 1 should be out, I want to say in a week or 2. It's very, very soon. But this one is like the Rebirth titles, an introductory story to the characters. This is what the Suicide Squad is about. Here's a small mission that they're on. Here's all the characters. Here's a tiny bit of their history, how they work, what their powers are, what the abilities are, who the fuck Amanda Waller is. President Obama is in the same book as well. And that's what this is. Just an introductory course, Suicide Squad 101.
The one major downfall that this book has for me is that it's very hard for me to remember what the hell actually happened. I know there was a mission. I don't really remember it. Part of that's probably because I'm overshadowed by the movie at this point. And it was a little difficult to follow.
A tiny bit. I don't know. I thought it was very simple, especially with the bomb being, hey, this bomb, when we detonate it, it gives people without powers, and it neutralizes people with abilities. So it kind of flip-flops that whole thing with everyone. And this is a terrorist group that's planning on setting this off where the Justice League are so they can defeat the Justice League, or setting this off where criminals might be so you can have superpowered criminals all over the world. And in the meantime, the Suicide Squad is there to try to stop them. So like the movie, they are the government's answer to superhuman threats when the Justice League is not around. I think the best part about this book is fucking fat Amanda Waller. Giant Amanda Waller, who I wanted in the comics, is fucking back. You open the book, she's talking to Obama, and you're like, holy shit, this is big-ass Amanda Waller. the fucking Amanda Waller we want and the one we need.
Yep, and she's still awesome, still sassy as fuck, getting her job done. She's like, no, this is what's happening. Love that woman.
We'll see how the series itself shapes out moving forward. I'm going to keep reading it. I'm going to keep giving it a shot. I know Jim Lee, as we predicted, is not going to be on it as often as he initially said.
Of course.
No one believed him when he's like, no, I'm going to be on this book as an artist. It's like, yeah, but for like half an issue. Like, you're going to get behind.
You're going to draw 2 pages of a flashback.
And so they'll have to call him Philip Tan and be like, hey, can you do the other issue too? And he'll have to do it because Jim Lee, I don't know, he always falls behind.
Yep.
I mean, we all know about All-Star Batman, so that's one of the things. It's got some hiccups already, but hopefully we don't see too many major delays with Suicide Squad. And more importantly, hopefully the story is there to serve fans.
And with that, guys, we are going to move into our spoiler-filled Suicide Squad movie review. If you haven't seen it yet, what is wrong? Go out and see it now. But if you don't want it spoiled, you can go ahead and end it here. Thank you so much for listening. Otherwise, stay tuned. We got a lot of stuff to cover.
Careful. Do not say this thoughtlessly.
So first, let's talk about the news surrounding the release of this massive film.
So as we mentioned earlier, Suicide Squad has broken records with a $146.8 million domestic debut as of Monday's box office receipts.
Combined with international sales, Suicide Squad has earned $280.1 million.
That is insane. This makes it the highest grossing debut for all films in the month of August.
This also outpaces 2014's Guardians of the Galaxy and even this year's Deadpool.
Another reason it shouldn't have been rated R.
Exactly right. It would not have gotten this record. I guarantee you if it were rated R.
We do have a quote here. Quote, "It's bested anything we could have expected." This comes from Jeff Goldstein, Warner Brothers Distribution Executive Vice President. Continuing with the quote, "The marketing campaign was brilliant, and the performances by the cast, starting with Will Smith, Margot Robbie, and Jared Leto, were just extraordinary. They're fun and wicked, and fans enjoy it." End quote.
This also makes Suicide Squad, which I couldn't believe this one, it's Will Smith's best opening weekend of all time.
That's amazing. Better than
Independence
Day,
Men in Black,
yeah,
After Earth.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the movie.
Yeah, that was a thing.
Can that be a thing? I would watch it. I watched all of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I loved that show.
Those were the 2 major ones. I'm like, holy shit. Now, I don't know if they're accounting for inflation.
Maybe or maybe not. Shh, no, they're not. This is just the best. I am not surprised. I have been saying for forever that this movie was going to do great. I know it didn't beat BVS for opening weekend, and I didn't say it was going to.
You're right.
But I think moving forward, by the end of its theatrical journey in life, it will gross more than BVS.
So you think it will top Batman v Superman?
I do.
They're already saying that the drop-off isn't as large as it was in Batman v Superman. In fact, on Tuesday, it did 9% more than Monday's release. So
That's awesome.
It's really weird. Like, people are going back in and giving it another watch or catching up and actually seeing it based on word of mouth.
Well, we tried to go on Tuesday to see it for the second time, and the theater was already sold out.
Yeah, it was complete. We're like, well, we can't get good seats on this, so we'll just go the next day. Yeah, we've seen it twice now.
Yes. Yep. We saw it just a few hours ago, actually. Worked out perfect, because now we get to talk about it.
Yeah, fresh on our minds.
Yeah. So like we said, guys, super spoilers now. I hope you caught that the first time. But what was your initial impression of it, Daniel?
So Suicide Squad, I came out of the movie. We waited until we were in the car, as we should.
As we tell everybody, wait until so nobody can hear.
I fucking loved it.
Loved it.
I loved it.
It was so good.
I had a great time watching it. It had so much for the fans, so much for Harley fans, which we are. So many Easter eggs, recreations, nods to even the original Suicide Squad book from the 80s. There's tons in there for everyone. It's not the best edited movie. There aren't shots in there that I was like, oh, well, that stuck out. Like, there's a few of those, but not as many. But this is, I mean, it's not, David Ayer is not bullshitting. It is for the fans.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. One thing that I really appreciated, and we actually looked up a video about the Easter eggs in the movie, because we know some about the characters, of course, a lot about Harley, but we don't know a lot about the comic life of these other characters. And to see how many things came directly from the comics amazed me. Because you can tell, you know, if that's your favorite character, you're going to go, oh yeah, that's from that comic. But it wasn't so overdone that people that didn't know the comics were confused or could look at it and say, oh, that's weird, it's probably from the comics.
Right, exactly. And people that are saying that this wasn't for comic fans, please look up one of those Easter egg videos, because these references go back to the original book, to specific villains, to debuts. There's a lot of stuff in there that was in fact taken from the source material itself. So if you're one of those people that's like, no, there wasn't enough from the comics in there for me, you're as ignorant about Suicide Squad as Kelli and I are even now. So or maybe it slipped your mind, I don't know, but please do see one of those videos, because when we watched that, we're like, oh shit, there's even more in here that was referenced than we even thought. And we were happy with all the Harley Quinn stuff already, because that's the part where we excelled at. Like, that's the fucking Alex Ross cover. There is the original fucking costume of Harley Quinn in the movie for you. It's not perfect. I don't care. It's good enough. We never thought we'd even get this.
Nope, and we actually get to see her original costume, I think they said 3 times in the movie.
Yeah.
Which just thrilled me that they would even put it in there. You can tell that the people who made this movie really cared about these characters. They weren't just characters that they were writing for. They're like, no, this is somebody's favorite character. We need to give them as much of their favorite character as we can with making them fit in our universe. And they did it. I thought they pulled it off great.
Listeners know how much we love fucking classic Harley Quinn. What chills did you get? What tears welled up when you saw Margot Robbie in the classic outfit?
Oh man, I had goosebumps. There were so many goosebumps.
With Jared Leto's Joker wearing the Alex Ross costume. And they're practically, like, it's not even a perfect recreation, but they're fucking dancing.
Yeah.
They're tango. That's good enough. I was like, holy shit. Like, we both looked at each other like, Harley Quinn.
They did it. What is this movie?
You can see her hairline a little bit. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And I think they did that on purpose. And so we're of course really big fans. That was in there just for us. But I feel that even people who didn't know what that was, they had set her up as being insane so well up to that point. I don't feel that it would have felt out of place to them.
There's even a history built in. They said they were the queen and king of Gotham, and that's the period right there with the class. Like, holy shit, man! I didn't even pay attention to Jared Leto as much. I'm like, did he have the tattoos? I don't know. Classic Harley is. I can point at her. She's right there.
There she is. Look at the costume.
Where's Paul
There's
Dini?
horns.
Where's Paul Dini?
There's black and red.
It doesn't have the mask on. They just put some black. Whatever. It doesn't. Who cares?
Who cares? It's there. It's as close as we're ever gonna get. And then she pulls it out. She pulls it out of the trunk at one point. Yep. And holds it up and giggles. And I was like, just wear that. Just it's not even going to fit. Just put it on. Apparently it was on a mannequin in one of the scenes, and we completely missed it both times. I didn't see it. Now I'm going to go back and see it a third time just so I can see it on this mannequin. So they put it in there all over the place. So much more than I thought we were going to see it.
More Easter eggs. Yes, we see Batman, but we also see the Flash.
Yes, was not expecting him. That was great to see him. Apparently that scene we found out was directed by Zack Snyder. He would just happen to be in the same place at the same time, and he's like, let me just direct this thing. But I think it worked really well because it was the scene with Captain Boomerang.
Right.
And for, of course, everyone who knows, Captain Boomerang is, of course, a Flash villain, so it made perfect sense. It wouldn't have made sense to have somebody else there. Right. And for those who don't understand that he's a Flash villain, that kind of solidifies that for them and makes them excited for the Justice League movie.
So the two major ones. Fucking Deadshot. Deadshot, Will Smith as Deadshot.
Killed it.
The costume looked fucking perfect on Will Smith. It was fantastic. And yes, Will Smith killed it. People are saying, like, you needed a massive actor like Will Smith to ground this movie. You needed him there. Otherwise, this movie would not have had the weight that it did. And he fucking killed it. He killed it as Deadshot. He killed it as this version of Deadshot, which was a more human version than what we've seen in the comics. And his performance as well was excellent. It was a lot of fun. It was Will Smith. If you like Will Smith, you're getting a lot of that. But a little bit more serious Will Smith, but not bad serious like After Earth. Not quite that heavy.
But the way they wrote his character was just so much fun. Of course, he's this crazy guy who goes around murdering people.
Yeah, I wouldn't call him crazy. He's for hire.
I mean, crazy as in, whoa! Not like mental crazy. But like, oh, he kills people for money. But he doesn't take shit from nobody. And then he says great lines like, that's your woman? Go in there and slap her ass and tell her to stop
Tell her to knock it off.
Like, that's great.
You need that in there.
Yes.
Like, some of my coworkers were even saying, like, this is just going to focus on Will Smith. And it's like, well, yes. They're paying millions of dollars for someone like Will Smith. Hell yeah, you're going to fucking put him in there in the fucking movie. You're going to have a lot of the story in there. But there was enough of the story there for Diablo. There was enough in there for Harley Quinn. There was enough in there. There was a bit of Boomerang in there. But if they had given everyone equal time, then people would be saying, well, they should have just focused on one and given everyone. But now that it's focused on Deadshot, well, they didn't do enough for the others. This is the route to go. Ignore the fucking whiners. This is the way to go.
I felt that it was very well balanced overall. The characters that are real big, Deadshot and Harley, they focused a lot on them, and that's awesome. Everybody else, yeah, we did get a background on them. We did get to see what makes them tick. The one that I might have wanted more with was maybe Croc, because in animated series, he does a lot with the circus.
Right.
So something like that would have been cool to tie in there. But do I think the movie suffers from it? No.
So let's next tackle the biggest thing that people are criticizing, and that's the editing. And we talked about last week how this cut is more of an amalgam of David Ayer's cut and this new one. From the beginning, I was really fucking nervous in those first 5 minutes because it's 3 songs back to back on this movie. It's like a music video, and the cuts are pretty quick, and they don't hold enough on some of these characters, Deadshot and Harley, to give us enough. It felt like a trailer. And that's when I was like, oh my god, this can be fucking terrible. And I was like, I hope this is not all like that. But then 5 minutes in, it settles down. Those first 5 minutes were probably the roughest as far as editing, because I'm like, oh shit, please don't let this be. But you do notice later on that they do this stuff like one of the bits where if you notice the editing, it's bad. Unfortunately, like if it takes you out of the experience, then it's a bad edit. And one of the cases that I saw later on was when they're at the strip club with Harley and the Joker, and Common, I'm like, oh shit, that's fucking Common. Common says something about Harley, and then they do this weird like color filter over the Joker when he quote unquote snaps, I guess. And I was like, that is fucking bad. Don't do that.
I know why they did it, though. I understand why they did it. Yes, it kind of pulled you out a little bit, but that's them being crazy. I mean, you see it with Harley all the time when she goes insane or when she's having flashbacks. You get that weird color filter.
It's weird. I don't know. It kept taking me out of it a bit. But it's those little instances that are probably... I don't know if people are taking those editing portions and letting it ruin the whole experience. I'm not sure. Like, it was enough for me to say that was a little off-putting, but not enough like those first 5 minutes. If the whole movie was like those first 5 minutes, I would be telling you right now that this was a terrible fucking movie. But no, I think it is, as David Ayer said, some of this is his cut as well. And I think that middle portion, and then they sprinkle in some of the flashy, more colorful portions here and there, but not enough to where I can say the whole thing was ruined because of it.
Right.
In fact, some of the stuff in there, maybe they're Ayers or not, but a lot of it in there is cleverly done. They give us enough of the characters at different portions that fits the movie well. And then at the very end, you even get some of the stories for some of these characters where you're like, holy shit, this is now reflecting on what that character is going to do in 10 minutes. What we're about to see, a certain sacrifice, a certain action, all of that ties in really well. It makes us care about almost every member of the Suicide Squad, except for the one that is clearly going to be an example for the audience.
Oh, you mean Slipknot?
That guy.
That guy who we didn't get a background on at all in the beginning. We had a file folder for everybody, not for Slipknot.
Nope.
Comes out in his full costume, so we don't have to see him getting ready and have a cool song like Eminem.
Just the man who climbs anything.
Yes, and he climbs stuff, and then he's very easily influenced by some man he's never met. Mm-hmm. He's not going to last for the whole movie?
I saw people like, I knew he was going to die. I'm like, oh, really? Did you? I don't...
I knew he was going to die the second he stepped out of the car, because I'm like, who the fuck is this? What?
Yeah, of
he's
course.
Gonna die.
Of course everyone knew he was going to fucking die.
Yeah. And that's fine.
But you needed that example. You had to have that.
I didn't care about him. I didn't really care about Boomerang.
A lot of people like Boomerang, and I don't know why.
Because he was funny. Because when he's like, you guys can leave, he was fucking out of that bar.
Yeah, that was
And then he came back later for some reason. And he had that pink unicorn. Or when he busts out of his sack, and they're like, we caught you robbing a bank. He's like, no, you didn't.
That wasn't me.
Just drunk all the time. That was great.
How about fucking Viola Davis?
She was so good.
As the Wall.
She was a perfect Amanda Waller. You couldn't have picked anybody else. She took that role. She fucking owned it. She gave us the Amanda Waller that we've all wanted to see forever. All that was missing was Batman handing her a towel out of the shower.
Recreate the Justice League.
Yes.
Just recreate the cartoons.
Make the whole thing. That's fine.
Amanda Waller was fucking amazing. It was the big Amanda Waller. It wasn't the New 52 one. Mm-hmm. She was ruthless. She was working for the government. She was working for herself as well. And she was working with fucking Batman. How much more do you want out of Amanda Waller in a movie?
You don't need any more. That's all we need.
It was incredible.
It was perfect.
Fucking Viola Davis. And there's no pop for her. There's no Funko Pop for Amanda Waller.
Pop. We got Funko Pop for stupid shit. Make one for Amanda Waller.
I need my Amanda Waller pop. There are 3 pops I will buy from this movie.
# Waller Pop.
I already tweeted to Funko Pop and Viola Davis. I'm like, what's going on, guys? Why is there not an Amanda Waller pop? If Viola Davis wants extra money for that pop, and that's why you didn't do it, fine.
Pay her.
Fucking tell people.
Pay her whatever she
Make
wants.
that info public.
So
risk a lawsuit just so that we know. Just do it. Yeah, she was amazing. Mm-hmm. She was fantastic. How about the Batman cameos?
He was cool. I liked that they tied all those in there too, so that you really got the origin of the character. Mm-hmm. So you have, he gets Deadshot. So Deadshot's daughter's in Gotham. We established that. You establish Croc is in Gotham.
Right.
You don't see it, but they mention it. And maybe there was a scene where we actually saw it that got cut. We'll find out when we get the Blu-ray. You see Joker and Harley and Batman, which I thought was an amazing scene. It was so good when they crash. It was just so Harley. It was wonderful. So I really thought that they were great. One, to keep it relevant with Batman, but it really solidified it in the DC universe too. Because otherwise, if you didn't know who those characters were, it wouldn't really feel like it's DC.
The biggest portions from us were, again, the Joker, Harley Quinn, Batman, Viola Davis, Amanda Waller, fantastic. But Harley Quinn and Joker's relationship. Yes. Let's talk about that next, and then we'll touch on Harley Quinn herself. Yes. But Jared Leto's Joker, controversial. Mm-hmm. It is different. It's an amalgam of All-Star Batman, Joker. There's a little bit of Dark Knight Returns in there, which fits with the Ben Affleck Batman that we've gotten. But it hasn't sat well with a lot of people. I know I've heard from several people that they liked the movie, but they didn't like Jared Leto's Joker. And some people are saying that it wasn't as good as Heath Ledger's, but I think it was different enough. So talk about Joker, because we're huge fans of Harley, Joker, Batman, the Batman universe. So how do we feel about that character and this portrayal in this movie?
For me personally, I think I would have very few negative things to say about Joker and Harley. Yes, it was a very different Joker, but I think he pulled it off well. He felt fucking insane and terrifying. Like, I was scared every time he got on the screen. Like, who's he gonna kill now?
See, for me, I'm on the opposite end. I like this Joker, and I accept it as this universe's Joker. That's fine. But this felt like the least dangerous of all the Jokers that we've seen on the big screen. Jack Nicholson's Joker, Heath Ledger's Joker felt like more frightening Jokers than Jared Leto's. Because Jared Leto, who's he kill? He kills the Common, and he shoots him with a gun after, like, nothing. Like, it wasn't intimidating. It wasn't suspenseful at all. So, I don't know, this felt like it's weird to say, like the lightest on-screen Joker that we've gotten so far.
You think
and that's
so?
okay. That's fine. But it's one step above the 1960s Batman movie. You know, he's a little bit more dangerous than Romero.
See, I didn't feel that way at all. And yes, there's probably a lot of Joker scenes, of course, like Leto said, that we didn't see. For me, this Joker is, I mean, you say he's predictable, but the thing is he snaps on a dime, like out of nowhere. And look at the amount of power he has in this movie. We haven't seen any other Joker with this much power that I've seen.
I can agree to that.
He puts together
Nicholson's Joker. Nicholson puts together a parade.
Okay,
and
fine.
He rains down money.
Nicholson got a parade, but this Joker, like, he has military people working for him. He has crime lords working for him. He's getting all this money out of nowhere. He has people who are just bending over backwards to help him with anything. And if you look at his woman funny, he's going to blow your face off.
Well, Dark Knight had that aside from Harley Quinn. Like, Dark Knight, Heath Ledger Joker had military personnel, took down helicopters and shit. I mean, it's all been there, and it's fine. But I don't know, just to me, I would not be as threatened by this Joker as I would with the previous ones.
You'd be like, you have silly tattoos. What happened to your teeth?
Did Batman knock him out? Batman knocked him out, didn't he?
He knocked him out. I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did.
But I didn't have a problem with it. Like, I thought it was a fine portrayal. It was different enough from the other ones, which was important. He couldn't emulate the previous Jokers too much. Otherwise, there would be that obvious comparison. People are still going to compare him, no matter what, to Heath Ledger's. And Heath Ledger's Joker is still, aside from Mark Hamill, the best movie Joker that we've gotten. But this is not a bad Joker by any stretch of the imagination. And there's no bad Jokers yet, in my opinion, on the live-action screens.
Maybe Romero.
Romero was fine.
Yeah.
He kept his mustache. He refused to shave it. So they said, fine, just paint over it, I guess. To the point where his pop now has little plastic pieces for his mustache.
Way.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Because it became a part of him. Like, all the viewers were like, yeah, the Joker has a mustache that he paints over.
So what did you think of their portrayal of Harley and Joker's relationship?
It was good. I mean, it was spot on, straight from the Mad Love comic books, straight from the comic books. The only thing that was missing, and we got a hint of it, but we didn't get more of it, was that Harley Quinn was not enough of Joker's tool in this movie as she is in the books. And that's something that we've always said, that Harley Quinn works best when she's with the Joker, and at most she is just the Joker's tool. That's how Joker views her. When it's convenient for him, he loves Harley Quinn. When she's about to blow his head off, he just says, Harley, darling, you're back. And that's enough for Harley Quinn to immediately switch sides. That's all she needs from the Joker. And he knows that. He's the one that made her insane. He knows how to play her. And in this one, it was more of a little bit more of a mutual romantic relationship between the two characters. There was that scene where they drove off the bridge, and that's what I pointed out, in which she's like, I can't swim. He doesn't care. He gets out. He's books.
Gone. Bye.
Leaves Harley to get caught. So that was one bit that I'm like, okay, cool. We got that. But it's definitely more of a romantic thing than the previous movies. Like, he had no reason to keep trying to get her, except for the fact that you have to accept that maybe he does love Harley Quinn.
I don't know that I would see it as love. I would see it more as obsession. And that's kind of like their whole MO. They're obsessed with killing, and I don't know, obsession just sounds crazier. Maybe I find this Joker kind of attractive. That's why I like him more.
Pazuzu face from The Exorcist?
I don't even know what you're talking about. But yes, that is a difference in their relationship. I think Joker genuinely cared for Harley. So we get to see it very first thing when he makes her jump into the vat of whatever the fuck.
Chemicals.
Right. And he was going to leave. He was like, oh,
yeah,
you're dead now. Bye. And then he stops himself and he goes back and he gets her.
Because he cared about her.
Because he did care about her.
And he hated that. You saw that frustration.
Yep. Hated it. You get to see it when she's been kidnapped and his only focus is finding her. Like, to the point where he's laying out all her things and just, I mean, he's drunk and he's wallowing in self-pity because he doesn't have his woman there. And the lengths he goes to get her back is not something that we typically see from their relationship. Usually it'd just be, she's gone, and if she shows back up, then he's like, oh, hey, cool, here you are, I've been doing my own thing. So I did really like that part of their relationship, and I like that Harley was really kind of his equal, almost.
Yeah, I mean, sort of.
At first she started out as a tool for him to use to get out of Arkham, and I think that's how it began. But later, I really do think they kind of become equals. King and queen of Gotham is what they say.
That's
you
true.
know, they're ruling together. She's out there having fun and doing her thing, but Waller even says that she's crazier and less fearless than the Joker. And so I think she's a good compliment to him to keep everything, they're just out to have fun, and even though it consists of murdering people.
Murdering robins?
Yep, murdering robins. And even said on her little card that she was the one who actually killed Robin.
Right.
Which I thought was awesome. That was so cool. So I do love what they did with their relationship, and I was so scared at first, but I think both Margot and Jared did a great job in their roles to make it seem like they would actually be a dysfunctional couple that would actually work together.
Speaking of Margot Robbie, that is fucking Harley Quinn.
That's her.
Straight from the books.
Right on the screen.
And I know we were both a little bit nervous about it, you more than I, of what kind of performance she was going to put, because in the trailers you don't hear any of the accents. You don't hear, we didn't see any of the TV spots because we stopped watching the trailers at a certain point, but you don't hear any of the puddings, any of the trademark Harley Quinn lines until you see the movie, or at least we didn't. And when we heard the accent, we're like, fuck yes, that is Harley Quinn. And the movie said, here you go, Daniel and Kelly, her classic fucking costume. You're done. You're going to love this now. Like all of that, this was the perfect Harley Quinn. And so far, the best live action Harley Quinn. Yes, we had Birds of Prey. Not as good. Doesn't compare to Suicide Squad Harley Quinn.
No, I thought she did a fantastic job. So reminiscent of Arlene Sorkin's performance. She had the squeals, she had the giggles, she delivered lines the same way. One of the moments that I think I loved the most, which was just so Harley, was when Enchantress is standing up there and she's like, why don't you all come out of the shadows? And she thinks for a minute, she just kind of shrugs and she's like, okay. And like she was just gonna fucking walk out there. Like little things like that, just fearless Harley where she's doing her whole thing, but her whole motivation is to get to the Joker, but her friends are also important too. Which
I thought was incredible because that was character building. And I thought I was a little taken aback by the end when she's the one who essentially defeats Enchantress. When she says, you can bring back my pudding, you can bring back Joker. That's what I'm thinking. She should be done. Like Harley Quinn's immediately on Enchantress's side. There's no questions about it. But when she says, but you hurt my friend. So this is what she has left now that the Joker is gone, and they matter to her. So it's kind of building her own and giving her own feet to stand on, so that she doesn't just rely on the Joker, which I thought was weird, a little bit different, because you would expect her to just say, I want Joker back, I will do whatever it takes. But I think a lot of that too was with Diablo saying none of this is real, she's fooling all of you, and all of them kind of learned at that point that Enchantress is just promising, and even if she gives them those things, even if she gave Diablo back his family, as Harley Quinn said earlier in the bar scene, they have to live with that shit. They have to. Otherwise, what kind of growing can they possibly make or do? So that's why Harley Quinn was probably putting on a show at that point and said, okay, we need to get her heart out, no problem. I'm going to fool everyone, including the audience.
Yep. I think something that we tend to forget a lot about Harley, too, because she puts on this ditzy air, is she's a psychologist. Like, she went to a lot of schooling to learn how people tick, why they think that way. And they even really... So they tell us in the beginning of the movie that, that's what she was. But they hint at it later, too. She has that moment where she's talking to Deadshot about love. And he says, you really think I could go to sleep, sleep like a baby if I still felt things like love? And she turns and she just mumbles, oh, typical sociopath. Like, yeah, she's still a psychologist at heart. She still understands this stuff. And yes, that may be what she wants, but she knows that's not what she's going to get.
Let's talk about the special effects to Suicide Squad. Killer Croc. No CGI.
It was so awesome.
Fucking perfect. Looked great. I loved it. It wasn't a mass. This was not an Arkham Asylum, Arkham City Killer Croc. It wasn't one of the renditions from some of the comics. This was almost like an animated series version of Killer Croc, or even the original version of Killer Croc, in which it's a man who just has a skin condition. And they said, let's do that, but let's put prosthetics on the actor himself. And it looked incredible. It looked way better than anything they could have done with computers.
Really did. I was so happy with this. I was even more happy with the second time around because he looked great, but then his personality was even great too. He had so few lines, but they still gave him personality. They still made him awesome. You know, Amanda Waller bumps his shoulder like, I'm not fucking scared of you. And he's like, I like her. And I'm like, yeah. Or in the end when they're asking for shit and all he wants is BET. Like, he wants to sit in his fucking sewer and watch booties on the screen.
I love Killer Croc. He was amazing
great.
in that. The special effects for Enchantress before she turned into...
So I loved Dark Enchantress, and I loved the way that she would transform, where the hand would come out and grab hers and then flip over.
Like a good idea.
Yeah, it was so awesome, and I thought she looked great, and she was creepy, and there were so many pieces to her that you couldn't ever get all of it in once. Because, you know, there was a long hair, but then there was all these dingles, and then she was creepy, so I didn't really want to look at her, but I'm like, what makes her tick? Really cool. And then she becomes more human-like and does a weird dance.
Yeah, that's where you're going into Hal Jordan Green Lantern movie territory, where it looks super artificial, and I wish they had done something a little bit different, because it does look a little computerized when she's making her machine in front of the fucking portal, or whatever the fuck, the Ghostbusters thing, whatever it is. So that's the one bit that looked a little bit off, but everything else with Enchantress, all the other special effects in the movie were solid. You can tell the budget was much smaller compared to Batman v Superman, but I think with the success of this, we're gonna see a Suicide Squad 2.
I hope so.
Which I've already been demanding on Twitter, like, so when is it? When are we gonna get Suicide Squad 2? And we're gonna get it. With the records it's breaking. But 2, give it a bigger budget.
Yeah.
Let's get a bigger budget. Bring back David Ayer if he wants to come back, because he did a solid job with this. And they'll probably have more time to nail the editing now that they know what will work and what audiences do like. Especially with Jeff Johns on the helm. I've been saying this since Suicide Squad got announced. I want to see the Justice League take on the Suicide Squad. And I want to see the Justice League team up with the Suicide Squad. Put them in Justice League 2, where they fight Darkseid. Hey, this is our Earth 2. Boom, put in the Suicide Squad. They're going to work with the Justice League, and they're going to fucking knock out Darkseid and put him back to fucking Apocalypse. Send them back. Put the Suicide Squad in that fucking movie if you're smart.
One thing I absolutely loved, Diablo.
I did not expect to love Diablo.
I didn't either. And they gave us a hint to it in the halfway through the movie. Did you catch it?
No, maybe. What was it?
When they were talking about him losing control or something. And he says, you won't like me when I lose control.
Sure.
And he makes a fire thing. And it's like the fucking demon. I caught it the first time.
I caught it the second.
I saw it the first time and I'm like, what the fuck is that?
I thought it was just symbolic.
It didn't click for me until the second time, because once we got to that end of the movie, I'm like, where did this come from? And I wasn't thinking back to that. So, I mean, he already... somewhere in his mind knew that he would become this thing.
I heard kids coming out of the theater the second time we saw it. I heard one kid, he was like, I wish Diablo was still alive at the end of it. Like, so did I. I expected when they blew it up, when he's like, blow it up. They blew it up, they killed off Incubus. And then I thought, because it was underneath the sewer where Killer Croc was, I kept expecting to see Killer Croc come out with a smoking... Diablo.
Or like Diablo on his back, and like when you see his claws. Even the second time, I'm like, maybe it'll happen this time.
And it unfortunately didn't happen, and I love Diablo. He was the heart of this.
He was great, but I think that was a great end for his character. Because his whole motivation was, I killed my family, I can't do this anymore. And now he has the opportunity to save his family. And that comes at the sacrifice of his own life.
Well, yeah, but this was also his new family. Like, I thought that was going to be the route they went in. Like, I killed my family, I'm redeeming and saving my family, and I'm going to continue to protect them. That would have been a really neat thing, and I really wish they had kept Diablo alive for the future movies, because he surprised the shit out of me.
How much more do you love him because he sacrificed for his family?
I would have loved him the same. He turns into a giant Aztec fire warrior.
Well, and it doesn't mean that we won't see him again. We could still possibly see him again.
I guess.
He probably became fire when that bomb went off and just floated away in steam, and he'll be back later.
If there's a scene in Suicide Squad 2 when he pops out of nowhere and he explains that he wasn't killed by... Cool, fine, whatever. Even if they don't explain it, I just want Diablo back in some form. And I know at my comic shop they're getting some of the Suicide Squad pops. I'm gonna buy that Diablo pop because he was fucking.
He was
cool.
awesome.
He was a great part of the movie, and definitely not something I expected to latch onto so much out of all the characters.
I think the actor did such a great job too. of just the way he portrayed the character. You could feel his emotions and the journey that he was going through for the entire thing. And he barely said any words. He just had actions. He just had walking away. He just had sit in his little hole, making little fire things. You know, when he told the story of his family and you could see that he was almost crying. Or when they arrested him and you saw the tears in his eyes. You know, he just did a phenomenal job. I thought it was great because you cared so much and he spoke so little. And
he didn't want to bring that out again because of what happened last time.
Right.
But when he did, it was like, holy shit, fuck this Incubus motherfucker.
Giant fucking Aztec man putting his hand through your chest.
That was so fucking cool. He ripped off his thing and he fucking burned them and he's like, what is this Aztec magic?
it's so hot. I mean, like fire.
People are like, how did Incubus die? From a bomb? It's like, yeah, whatever. Like, fucking, let's just say Diablo magic versus magic weakened them enough to blow up the bomb. Like, it doesn't matter. Like you cared about Incubus that much, really?
Nobody did.
Like, it was all about Enchantress.
One character I did not really like, Rick Flag.
Yeah, Rick Flag was fucking lame.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
I would have liked
shitty.
I would have liked him more as Tom Hardy. If Tom Hardy wasn't too busy making money at another... for some reshoot movie. Like, Tom Hardy would have been an awesome Rick Flag, but I pinpointed why. Like, aside from the fact that he kept getting kidnapped more than Princess Peach in the fucking Mario games. Like, oh, get off me! Get off me! I'm like, you have a gun! Why are you firing at their legs and stomachs and shit? Fire at their fucking heads and kill them. Like, he gets kidnapped twice, and then he almost gets killed by Enchantress on top of that, where Deadshot has to go in and block the fucking blades on top of that. But he was just kind of an asshole. He was lame.
Yeah.
He was like, I need my girlfriend back and all that shit. Like, get the fuck out of here, Rick Flag.
Like, he's supposed to be this crazy-ass soldier who can go in. Like, he should be able to get in there and buckle down and be like, okay, game time.
Right.
Like, this is what we gotta fucking do. And he's just like, you're just gonna run away at the first sign of things, but I'm a soldier.
He kept accusing them for no reason.
Yeah, for no reason.
You're supposed to be working with them. Like, the way you were with Deadshot and Killer Croc at the beginning, like, let's see what you can do, and I'm not afraid of you.
Yeah, that
like,
was so
okay,
cool.
so you're a team leader, but then suddenly you're criticizing them, like, you fucking pieces of shit. Like, you're not that guard from that fucking show that you like, Mindy. You're not that guard from Mindy Project, that fucking actor.
Project.
You're not that guy. Like, you should be straight with the whole team.
Can I tell you, though, I mean, going back to that part, that was one of my favorite scenes in the movie, too, is when they're seeing what Deadshot can do. And he realizes, like, there's finally real bullets in this gun, and he gets so excited. Could you just feel his excitement?
Yep.
Like, oh, fuck, I gotta, like, shoot all these things because I can, and this is what I've been missing for so long. That was great, too.
Yeah, that was, I got that sense of it, too. Deadshot did love, he fucking loves shooting guns.
Yeah,
that's his fucking thing.
He just loved it. He never misses.
But with Rick Flag, when I looked him up, I'm like, I know him from somewhere. He's from the latest season of House of Cards. He plays that fucking senator that's trying to overtake Frank from the White House.
The good guy senator?
The one that's like, I'm using social media to be super hip with the young crowd. And look at me. They all know who I am. I'm open with my family. This is my perfect white family right here. Like, he was such a douchebag in House of Cards that's why I guess that transition into Suicide Squad, I was like, why don't I like this fucking guy? And then finally I looked it up later. I'm like, oh yeah, he's that fucking villain in the latest season of House of Cards. So
his character was real shitty, but I mean, I still like the movie overall. I'm not going to give it a 26% for that.
No, and I think part of us had to dislike Rick Flag and like the villains, where Suicide Squad they all got attached to one another, even to Rick Flag in the end. So we have some post-review questions for the movie that we will answer. We'll give our best thoughts on. And the first one is, what does Suicide Squad mean for the future of the DC Cinematic Universe?
My answer to this is I think it really gives them a direction to focus on. It really, they listened a lot to the fans. They took a lot of their thoughts and their reactions to things, and they kind of pushed in that direction. And I think it shows that that's what works. That's what works for them. And so I think they're really going to, they have a clear direction to go in of, okay, this is what we need to do. We can still have heart to our stories, unlike Marvel. But we can lighten it up, but still make it dark enough so that it fits in our universe. And bigger budgets.
Much bigger budgets. I think this means we'll see more appearances from people like Deadshot, like Harley Quinn, the Joker, in the other DC movies. Because if this movie does, in the end, better than Batman v Superman, you bet they better fucking whore this cast and put him in the other movies. Because this is a movie that, so far, has been, from fans, from viewers, I think, been more liked than Batman v Superman. Even the Marvel fanboys on my Facebook feed are like, the shit they say, I'm like, okay, that's not that's not really a relevant argument. Like, they'll go into the editing portion of like, the editing just wasn't. I'm like, okay, so we're all film scholars now. Like, that when you become a film scholar, that's when immediately, like, there's really nothing wrong with the movie when you see those kinds of complaints. So I think it's a more accessible, going back to the Marvel formula, I guess, to other fans out there. But there is still enough from the comics that you can point to that and say, straight from the books, that's for the fans. I mean, you and I are just talking about Harley Quinn and the Joker. All of that was made for the fans as well.
I hope they do a Harley and Joker film, and I don't think they will, but I would die, and you just call it Mad Love. Can we talk about the baby clothes in the film, too, just for a second?
Yeah, what scene was that?
In the scene where Joker's laying in the room with all the knives, and he asked where Harley is. I pointed it out to the second time. Did you see it then?
Yeah, I saw it the second time.
So up in the top left corner, there's 3 baby clothes. There's a blue, a pink, and a black one. And then also in Harley's perfect world scenario, there's a baby boy and a baby girl. So my mind, being my fan mind, is like, oh, maybe she was pregnant and then she lost it. And that's what the black one symbolizes. Maybe she was pregnant with twins and she lost them. And that's what she was going to have, a boy and a girl, and then now they're dead.
We saw Jared Leto's interview, right? Where he said, well, they collect things from murders and whatnot that they've done in the past.
Yeah, it also talked about maybe it was darker, like they lost it.
I don't think that's what it was.
Stop, I hope it was. Anyway, I would love to see a Mad Love movie. It's perfect.
Margot Robbie's already said that she's producing the Harley Quinn movie.
That's amazing.
So we're going to get a solo Harley movie.
Good.
We don't know what the story is, but of course Joker's going to be in it.
Can I just say that Margot Robbie's only 26 years old? She is
really?
what...
She's only 26?
Yeah, she's only 26. She is what I wish I was.
Just period?
Just period. That's it.
So we had touched up on this a little bit with Deadshot, maybe Harley Quinn appearing in the other movies. Who will appear in the other DC films?
I think we will definitely see Joker and Harley in the Batman solo film, for sure.
You think it's Red Hood? I think it's Red Hood. I think it's going to be the Jason Todd story.
That would be awesome.
In the Batman solo
That'd be
movie.
great. I hope so, because then we get to see more Joker and Harley. I think that we will see Captain Boomerang in the Flash movie, briefly.
Maybe.
We might even see Deadshot show up in Batman somewhere, even if he's just on a computer screen or something.
You think Amanda Waller? People are saying that she's going to be like the Nick Fury of the DC universe.
I don't know. Maybe Nick Fury's the Amanda Waller of the Marvel universe. I think, you know what wouldn't surprise me, and I actually thought about this the second time. Deadshot's daughter, I bet the Wayne Foundation donated a lot of fucking money for her schooling.
Oh, that'd be so fucking cool.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Because when he's like, I don't want a full scholarship. And if she's failing, you white people that shit. Those make me real long. But then I was thinking, I was like, well, because this happened in front of her, Bruce Wayne would be like, no, give her money. Like,
right.
Because that's just what he does. So if the Batman solo film isn't the Jason Todd story, I wouldn't be surprised to see her in there somewhere. Like he's checking up on her, or he's talking about the scholarship and she's in the crowd or something like that.
Mm. The last one is, what kind of cut, if any, should we expect to see with the physical Blu-ray release?
I would love to see the Air full cut.
Me too, yes. I do want to see that. I don't think we're going to get it.
I don't think we're going to get it. I think they're just going to release it as is, and we'll get all of the deleted scenes.
Right.
Which would be awesome. I wouldn't even be opposed to an extended version, maybe with all those scenes in it.
I can see that.
I think that might be something like we saw with BVS. Again, that was a director's cut. But something more extended. Because this was, what, 2 hours?
No, I don't think it was that long.
I'm pretty sure
it didn't feel like
2
it was
hours.
that bad.
Where's the internet?
We gotta check. I don't think it was 2 hours.
Because I was talking to somebody, and they said, did you know that movie was 2 hours long? And I was like, there's no way. 2 hours and 5 minutes. That's what your sister told me.
Maybe it was. It didn't feel that way.
It didn't feel that way, which was great. That's what a movie should do. You shouldn't feel like you're in there for 2 hours. But of course, they had to cut stuff out to make it 2 hours. So I'm sure there's plenty more they had cut in there that they could put in as an extended version.
I think the reason we're not going to get the original Ayer cut was because David Ayer has gone on in public and said, this is my cut. So it's. I think he's just owning whatever is releasing now. As a director should, maybe, or I don't know. We can talk Fantastic later, but David Ayer has said, this is my cut. This is what I want for the fans. It's made for the fans, not for the critics. And actually, right now, the cast of Justice League, because that is filming, Reportedly, they've all been motivated by the bad reviews in Suicide Squad
to make a better
movie.
That's awesome.
So hopefully all of this is just them saying, like, a big fuck you. Like, one, fuck you, but two, you want a good movie. Like, they're just gonna work harder to try to give them that quote unquote good movie. And Suicide Squad was it.
Yeah.
Like, it's entertaining, it's fun, it's got plenty of action. It's the closest that we've gotten to a Marvel movie from the DC universe, I guess. So it should be hitting all of those points as well. But being that there is the backgrounds to all of these characters, the sad moments, the happy moments, I think it goes beyond what a typical superhero movie normally is or what we've gotten in the past. It's not Nolan Dark Knight trilogy level, but it's not Avengers level either, you know?
So overall, I think we can happily say that we both really liked the movie. Definitely recommend it. I will probably be going to see it for the third time in theaters sometime. I'm sure you will get there as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And it's already pre-ordered, right? It's coming soon.
And when are tickets for Suicide Squad 2? Because I want to buy those.
We can pre-order those like right now, right? For like 4 years from now.
That should be on the fucking slate, guys.
Yep.
Wait, Warner Brothers, when are you going to fucking announce that?
They're going to put it on there. Don't worry.
Like Man of Steel 2, cool. Suicide Squad 2.
Once it breaks BVS records. You know what would be great? If they announced like, oh yeah, Man of Steel 2, but it was really Suicide Squad 2, and they didn't tell us till we got closer. And they're like, surprise!
Well, there's already 2 slots for untitled projects, which I figured one was Harley Quinn. Mm-hmm. And but maybe it is Suicide Squad 2. Who knows? Maybe they were just waiting to see how this did before they filled that spot with whatever was next on the rotation. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, when the fuck is Justice League Dark? And why the hell hasn't Guillermo del Toro been on that shit? Because that would tie in perfectly with the Suicide Squad.
I pointed that out to you.
You did?
But yes, it absolutely would. With all the supernatural stuff that went on with this, it would be so easy to pick up a Justice League Dark movie where maybe they're even in the city and they're seeing all this shit and they're like, oh fuck man, now we gotta deal with this. You know, so much that they could do with that. Maybe they even pick up Diablo from the sewer and now he's helping them.
They bring him back to life. Maybe Dead Man helps bring him back to life or something.
Maybe Diablo is Dead Man. It would tie in really well. I don't think that we're going to see that movie, especially not from Guillermo.
Because he can't stand to stay on a project like Aronofsky.
Of course not. It would tie in well, but I don't think those characters are as marketable as Suicide Squad.
Not yet, they're not. We'll see. I mean, people know who Constantine is. People know who Swamp Thing is.
That's true.
People like your dad know who Swamp Thing is. So you can...
Is that your rating?
That's my, like, someone as someone like your dad, so someone at that age knows who Swamp Thing is. People our age know who Constantine is. And then everyone else is in between. Like yeah, you don't have to hook like Harley Quinn, but, you know, make a little cameo in Suicide Squad 2. Constantine comes in and says, yeah, we remember Enchantress. Whatever the fuck. Like, that's the actual line. We remember Enchantress.
Or whatever the fuck.
Or whatever the
fuck. That's it right there. We remember Enchantress or whatever the fuck. Quote, John Constantine.
Come on, Jeff Johns, just rewrite that. Do your thing.
Just, make it better.
You get the idea.
We remember or whatever the fuck.
I think that's a good spot right there to end it.
Yes.
We recommend Suicide Squad. Let us know what you thought of Suicide Squad on Twitter at ReasonsI'mBroke or Facebook.com/TheReasonsI'mBroke. Let them know what the Brokettes get next week with 205.
Yeah, so with 205, we have our very first guest star on the show.
Post-Patreon guest star, yeah.
Post-Patreon.
We've had guests on.
Yes. So, this is thanks to your Patreon support. We were able to get Auphonic, which means we could do Skype interviews.
Right.
So next week, we will have the very own Mr. Tim Yates on our show talking about some awesome stuff.
Be sure to tune into that. And if you want the episodes early, that's on patreon.com/TheReasonsI'mBroke. For as little as $1 a month, you too can get your shout out and the podcast early. Could be a few hours beforehand, could be a few days beforehand. Depends on when we record and how long the episode is.
So guys, that will do it for our podcast this week. Let us know what you thought of Suicide Squad. Let me know at Kelli, at ReasonsI'mBroke. I could talk about it for like 7 more hours.
Yeah, we could.
Thank you guys so much. I'm Kelli.
And I'm Daniel.
We'll see you on the next one.